Welcome back to Brick System Brothers. Nathan Masters here with quite a bit to talk about in terms of volume today. So, part volume, how do I buy lots of pieces for still a bit of money, but not as much as you would think? And the answer is bulk lots. So, bulk lots, the job lot ongoing series on the channel has focused on one such bulk lot or job lot because it was particularly dirty. When I was out on my road trip in Boston, I decided to buy another bulk lot, and this was a 60 pounder, and I was able to get it for $2 a pound. So a total of $120 for all these pieces, which when I buy a bulk lot, I do like to know how many pieces I ended up with. And that's what I want to talk about today. The breakdown of that. I do have some of the cherry pickings out in the front and just talk through some numbers. But a little bit more about where I bought these pieces. Boston Brick Company is a third-party Lego reseller based in South Boston area, I believe. And the owner of that business, his name is Sean. The first time I went to Boston Brick Company, I just filled up a small, or I guess it was the medium size in the store, but not a very large bag of pieces for prices similar to Bricks and Minifigs. So, Bricks and Minifigs is a franchise reseller of Lego that is not directly affiliated with the brand, but they do focus on Lego brand. They have a few other non-Lego items, but for the most part, Bricks and Minifigs known as a Lego reseller. What was interesting about Boston Brick Company and some of the other places I visited on this trip, it wasn't just BBC. They're doing something very similar to Bricks and Minifigs without joining that franchise, and it seems like business is going well enough for them. But I was really happy to get a lot of Lego for $2 a pound. That's my best rate so far for bulk Lego. When I started looking at buying lots of Lego for less than the retail price, which hovers around 10 cents a piece if you're going to buy Lego from off the shelf or from the company directly, it's pretty easy to undercut that if you're willing to go the used route, and it's especially cost effective when you are going with used bulk. So over the years I've worked my way down from $10 a pound to $5, and then within the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021 here, finding several, not quite several, a few bulk lots for under $5 a pound, and this one for Boston Brick Company right at $2. So that works out really well when you look at the grand scheme of cost per piece and how that breaks down. What I am looking at the end of the day here is how low can I get the price per piece for each one of these pieces in the lot. And that way, you spend a flatline amount of money for a certain number of pieces, divide that out, and you get a going rate that can usually get below 1 cent per piece. So you're looking at everything in these bins, pick a piece at random. This cost me less than a penny each. And just some numbers to put on this. A total in these three bins, and then this plate here, and a few of the other selected ones like these are some stickered pieces that I wanted to set aside. So these 4 bins and this bin lid is the total number of buildable Lego pieces that I ended up with, and my count for those was 32,917. So $120, multiply by 100 to get into cents, and then divide by that number, and you end up with 0.36 cents per piece. So that is about 1/3 of a cent for every piece in this lot. As a visual aid, there's 50 some pieces on this lid, and if you divide that by 3, you get about 21 cents. So every piece on this lid right here cost me this much money. I don't know about you guys, but I would make that trade any day. And of course, the only reason that works is because I paid that across the board for all these pieces, which totals up to $120. And if you have your budget going right, and you set aside $120 for Lego, you can either spend it on a decently sized Lego set and get about 1,500 pieces from the retail new side, or you can hunt around and really invest time, because that's where the value is coming from here, is the invested time to get things sorted and cleaned up. And you know, once this is actually sorted into my collection, that's where a majority of that value is coming from, is on my end investing the time. That $120 can actually go towards a 30,000 lot of pieces. Now, the flip side is you don't get to be as choosy. You don't get to really choose what you end up with, aside from, you know, choosing the actual lot that you buy. So you end up with maybe a lot of pieces you already have, probably pieces that you don't really collect, that doesn't fall into what you do with Lego. Like, I try to avoid lots that have a lot of Bionicle, just because I don't collect a lot of Bionicle. I'm definitely a system builder. I do have a little bit of Technic, but more so on the system side, and so that's what I tend to look for. And so as long as the majority of this is system pieces that I know I can end up using, even stuff that I know I won't use right away, to me has more value than sitting on a bunch of Bionicle pieces that I'd really rather just resell. So the other side of bulk lots is over here, and this is the knockoff brand Lego pieces. So non-Lego stuff that is really similar, and sometimes you really have to take a close look to be able to determine whether or not this is actual Lego. And then over here is just kind of the random stuff that ends up in everyone's Lego collection from time to time, especially if you're picking things up off a messy floor day to day. Other stuff just ends up in the lot. So I've seen this with pretty much every bulk lot I purchase. There's always going to be the knockoff brands and the random stuff in here, as well as the broken Lego. So you can't get away from it. In a lot this size, 32,000 pieces, you are going to have some that come through broken. It's just the nature of this kind of project and should be expected. Yeah, it's not great, it's not fun to see the pieces you could have got that are broken, but I think it's totally balanced out by the volume of what you do get. So when you have these kind of three other categories, the other number you want to look at is what percentage of this total lot was actual Lego that you can use to build, that you could resell on Bricklink. And that's why I sort out the non-Lego stuff, is because in the world of Lego building, this may be compatible, but it does not have the same value. It doesn't hold that value that Lego brand does. Every single piece in here has a listing on an online marketplace called Bricklink and Brick Owl now as well, where I could, as a seller, list every single thing here individually, and eventually, ideally, someone would buy it. A lot of this stuff would probably take a while to sell, but also quite a bit of it would sell pretty fast, especially looking at the potential profit margin. If everything here was only 1/3 of a cent, the average going price for used Lego, you could put it 5 cents a piece. So that's 1,500% increase profit margin. Of course, that's not what I'm going to do. The whole point of me buying Lego for this cheap is to be able to stock up on what I want to use to build with for not quite as much money. But back to the percentage rates of, you know, what am I actually putting my money towards? How much of that $120 is going towards actual Lego? So I do have the number breakdown for these as well. We'll start with the broken Lego. There were about 63 broken pieces in total. For the non-Lego items, just kind of random stuff that ends up, about 66 of those, and then quite a significant amount of knockoff Lego brand stuff, 2,142 knockoff pieces, give or take a couple. I only counted through it once. You take the number of actual Lego pieces, that 32,917 number, divided by the total. Your percentage here is going to be 93.5% actual Lego. So only wasting about 6.5% on stuff that I really don't want to end up with. And even with the knockoff stuff, what I ended up doing before was bagging this up and putting it on a bulk rate at a garage sale. And I did sell a few gallon bags of knockoff Lego that way. That's something I almost hesitate to do just because people that don't know, really the difference or don't really care about the difference end up buying knockoff Lego, and it kind of gets circulated back in. So with this stuff, it's almost better off to just donate somewhere or just get rid of it entirely, unless it's something kind of interesting. Like Lego doesn't do a lot of military stuff, but knockoff brands don't have a problem with doing military themes, and so builders that do want to focus on the military side of model making don't have a lot of options within the Lego brand to do that, and so they go to other parties like Brick Arms and people that make that kind of Lego compatible military stuff. So there's a couple of things like that in here that I might pull out to do. Alright, so to wrap it up, let's look at some of the goodies. This is truly a cherry-picked selection of the lot, but I did want to talk about a few of these things. A bunch of these little 5-point crystals. I think these are kind of cool. I did get a chrome silver one along with a couple metallic silver, pearl gold, and some transparent ones. I think these are the only two sand red pieces in the lot. This Technic brick with the 1x2, and also getting some nice Paradisa pink window frame and lattice panels. So that is a retired color. And then this other brick on here is from a super old McDonald's set. I thought it was kind of interesting. Some nice fences here, the tan bar fence and the light gray kind of lattice or chain link one. Some older retired prints. This yellow 1x6 plank is actually a pretty rare piece. It was only in 1 or 2 sets. And then other various prints that I think are interesting. Kind of like a little burger recipe, license plate, ice cream. This is an Ninjago Dragon blueprint, which is probably exclusive. And this one is a print, this one's a sticker. It's from a similar set. Some of these moonstone crystals. I think the green one is a Vitruvius piece. Some minifig, white backpack, the soldier's hat, and that's a Star Wars torso. And then the classic motorcycle frame, a green train window, older black door. The stuff over here, this actually will help me build more of those hopper cars, my own train hopper cars. So these black Technic pins, totally used up what I had in stock, so I got 4 more of these. 2 more of those tan clips for that broom and shovel. I used up what I had sorted for those. The white lightsaber hilt will be helpful for Carter Trellis. I'm going to do some kind of window decoration. And I did pull 1 gray frog out that I need for Cafe Corner. So a lot of this stuff directly helpful with projects that are ongoing right now. But the rest of it is going to get filed away for a rainy day or whenever I need it. So there's quite a bit left here involved with sorting, and this does need a pass through a rinse of water as well. Not nearly as much as the job lot, which is why I didn't do the same kind of breakdown that I am doing over there. I'm actually not done looking through the job lot yet. I don't actually know if this one is bigger than the job lot or not. So it'll be interesting when I do get that wrapped up to see how that compares in the long run. But this, just in terms of how the lot looked initially, was a lot cleaner. And even with the non-Lego stuff, less than 100 of this other item thing, that's pretty hard to come by. So I think Sean did quite a bit of work beforehand getting this pared down to where it's over 90% Lego already, and then I'm going to come through with my meticulous phase of picking and get it all the way. You know, there's maybe one or two things that slip through the cracks that are not brand Lego in here, but just the nature of the way that I count through and do these numbers really does get it separated out almost to 100% efficiency. Just that's how I've chosen to spend my time in the hobby, not necessarily building as much, but like I said earlier, injecting that value. You know, if this is Lego worth 5 cents a piece and I got it for a third of a cent, where is that value coming from? It's coming from me taking the time to pull it out like this, to get it sorted, to get it cleaned at the end of the day. So that is where I have chosen to spend time in the hobby, and that's not for everyone. I get that. For bricklink sellers, they're actually counting on this profit, on this value being injected to make their profit. That's where their business is coming from. But for me, it's just going into the collection and really investing that back into what Lego is to me for the hobby. Alright guys, thanks for watching today. Again, this was Boston Brick Company with Sean there. I do have another bag of pieces similar to Bricks and Minifigs haul to talk about, but I wanted to get some thoughts out about this bulk lot and really the best value I've had to date with this kind of thing. Getting it down to $2 a pound does wonders for how cheaply you can get Lego, and just wanted to show the possibilities with that. So thanks for watching today guys, and we'll see you next time on Brick System Brothers.